Okay, it is February 16th, 2020, 6:32 p.m. That is just a sample, a soundbite of the state's ongoing, active, ceaseless stalking, surveillance, and monitoring via aircraft. And so they are flying successively over, in the west direction, over FERN, the street that I am parked on. This is in addition to the helicopter that is serially flying in circles around this intersection, flying over this vehicle, flying over and around this street, FERN. I'm at the intersection of FERN and G, where I remain inside of a vehicle, which the state is very aware of because they engage in stalking and monitoring while I travel on foot to any place. And so this includes today, for example, as I documented, the state via aircraft and law enforcement engaged in stalking while I walk to the Upland Library. And that is from being transported by a vehicle with a third-party insider, and that was from facilitating venue to facilitating venue. That is just a nomenclature that I use to identify the specific venues that I go where the state is engaged in concerted activity with the people of the state of California, where they are stalking, surveilling, and monitoring. This is a state system, and so it is ubiquitous, and it is ceaseless. And so this is the state engaging in a real-time reaction to that which they are listening to me document about their conduct. Again, that is a state engaging in stalking conduct that has been continuing via aircraft specifically since December 18, 2018. Sorry, December 19, 2018. And so with regard to today, again, this is just a sample of what is occurring on a ceaseless basis. This, in addition to the state that is not, by their system is designed to dismiss by claiming that a targeted individual who claims that strangers are stalking them, who claims that the government police are engaged in stalking and monitoring them, it's designed to dismiss that person by claiming they're mentally incapacitated, that they have some sort of mental issue, that they're paranoid. And this explains the use of strangers engaged in stalking and monitoring and surveillance, and this explains the use of aircraft of stalking, surveillance, and monitoring. And so I have direct evidence of this for a prolonged amount of time, so the state is not able to dismiss me on those grounds. So this is relevant because what I am showing is the fact that I am subject to a malicious prosecution while the state continues to engage in stalking conduct via aircraft. That is another aircraft flying over FERN. I'm at the north end of FERN and G Street, and again, invasion of privacy is an imminent aspect of the state stalking system that is focused on the ceaseless search and theft of electronic information that resides in a communication device. This is what the state is after. Once becoming aware of it, the state implied a threat by virtue of the ubiquitous presence of law enforcement that is designed to threaten the targeted individual who becomes aware, who threatens the system by seeking to confront it, by documenting it, by seeking help. This is where the planes came into play. This is designed to dismiss that targeted individual that makes such claims in order to claim that they are crazy. Again, this is where third-party insiders come into play, those who know the targeted individual. They are poised to concur with the defamatory statements that targeted individual is crazy. It is a system, a holistic, a comprehensively corrupt system. So again, that design, that malicious design of the system that I'm confronting is not working. And so what I am subject to alternatively is malicious prosecution, which is the current status of what I am subject to in the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court. January 13, 2020, Officer Jason Knighton with the Ontario Police Department, a specific department that I have multitudinous criminal encounters with, where they have consistently engaged in physical abuse, harassment, and stalking and monitoring. This is another officer with that specific department. Not only that, this particular officer I have documented, engaged in the criminal pattern of conduct. And so this particular officer on January 13th, again, assaulted and battered me, unlawfully arrested me. I was subject to the unlawful detention at West Valley. This is all relevant to what I'm documenting to this very moment with regard to the state's ongoing stalking conduct right now, as they listen to me document what is criminal conduct. The malicious prosecution that is occurring in the court as a result of Jason Knighton and L. Keys's unlawful search and monitoring, which was pursuant to that ongoing state-organized system of stalking and harassment, the means of which they continue to engage in monitoring of American citizens. When you look at the elemental breakdown of the system, when you are aware of what is occurring with regard to the flow and seeking to access and transfer the creation of electronic information, this is how you are able to decrypt, if you will, unveil what is actually occurring at all places and at all times. And this is where this matter of public corruption is not hidden whatsoever. When you understand the way that electronic information is transferred, the way that that it is accessed, and what they are actually doing under the guise of everyday life, they are actually engaged in a comprehensive effort to keep a targeted individual, an American citizen, constantly monitored and seeking to steal, and in this instance, seeking to oppress and keep silent a targeted individual, an American citizen who was actively confronting criminal conduct being perpetrated against her in the state of California. That is what my civil case represents against the state. This is what this malicious prosecution brought against me, that it does not even exist. F. Ramos is the purported district attorney. He does not exist. He or she does not exist on the California bar site. The attorney, Shannon Faye Herty, is not a judge. I did not receive any information about waiving my right to that. She acted as a judge on January 17th, setting bail, which the court put on a record, which is fallacious, but it doesn't matter because it's not even set as a matter of official record with regard to the filing of any case. There is no case. This is a state engaging in the same pattern of conduct. This is that which is designed to, again, silence me. They can't do it by calling me crazy, so they do it by prosecuting me maliciously, and that they do also under the guise of the court system, under the guise they're wearing robes, sitting behind the bench, calling themselves judges. They are putting on suits, standing behind name tags, calling themselves attorneys, calling themselves officers of the court, deputies, those that type up the quote-unquote record. What I am documenting is the perpetration of a enormously corrupt system, court system, that is engaged in the same concerted effort to silence an American citizen. And that is what that case in the Rancho Cucamonga court represents. That is directly relevant to what the state is actively engaged in. That is directly relevant to the third parties who are engaged in concerted activity with that state. And so when I document merely, again, a sample of third parties that are surrounding my person at that time via video, audio, pictures, their license plates, their names, their voices, their statements, and in every other form that I am capturing criminal conduct that I am subject to at every moment, at every place that I go to. Those, again, represent a sample, and it is directly relevant to what third parties are engaged in, and so those third parties represent what third parties are doing at all times. Those are the same third parties that are directing light into this vehicle that's targeted conduct. They are the same third parties that are engaged in nonverbal communication. This is a system-wide. And so that third party that's driving past in a car is just as guilty as the one that I encounter on FERN and G Street, for example, because I am capturing one actor. But again, this is about the state of California, where every single third party, that's under the theory because they are acting in concert with the state, every single third party is engaged in concerted activity, targeting me as the targeted individual everywhere that I go. And so by virtue of their presence, being in relevant position, this is, and again, this is based on understanding electronic information. This is based on understanding what the state is actually engaged in, and this is how you narrow it down and you see exactly why each and every documented person is engaged in that by virtue of their presence, by virtue of the identical behavioral patterns. And so anyway, it's 6:41 p.m. and that is the state continuing to stalk and harass. This is relevant to the malicious prosecution that is pending a fake trial where judges and lawyers are engaged in criminal conduct. It's February 16, 2020. It is 9:50 p.m. It's February 16th, 2020, and I remain inside the vehicle at FERN and G. This is just an added note to show how it is a continuous, ceaseless act by the state, and again, part of the system that I've broken down into elements was simultaneity to my movement and my activity, which was specifically opening up the door, while in order to get a specific capture of the state that is stalking me and surveilling me and monitoring me via aircraft, they engage in successive flights directly over the street that I'm parked on. This is FERN in Ontario, California, and again, it's 9:51 p.m. In addition to that was the sound of the sirens in the background. That is another indicator of the state's ceaseless and continuous physical location where I am located or within the proximity of my physical location. That is statutorily defined as stalking, and this is what the state has continuously engaged in since I started documenting it in November of 2018, specifically law enforcement. And again, because the state is engaged in invasion of privacy, they are actively listening to me, aware of the fact that I was documenting the ubiquitous presence of law enforcement. That's when they started to substitute law enforcement for ambulance and fire. That is the same entity, however. Regardless of that, part of the elemental breakdown with regard to the state-organized system of stalking, harassment, and monitoring is the constant sound of sirens, the chorus of sirens. It is used as a form of harassment, it is used as a form of nonverbal communication. And also, it is the universal indicator of the state's ongoing presence within the same place that I'm located, in proximity of the location of where I'm located, and the fact that it's occurrence. This is where I have juxtaposed form with substance. This is a matter of public corruption, and so it is in plain sight. So what you are looking at appears as one thing when it is actually another, and so the timing with which the sirens occurs with simultaneity to my conduct. This is a consistent pattern. The state is actively monitoring me, aware of everything that I do, say, everywhere that I go. The target individual has no privacy, and the target individual is always subject to being surrounded, and this is necessary when they are seeking electronic information, and this speaks to what I document with regard to the third parties. Anyway, this is 9:53 p.m., and that was just capturing both the state via aircraft in the air and the state on the ground surrounding me by the sounds of sirens. And this is as I open the door in order to get a more up-close sound of the aircraft that are flying over me. And again, they engage in that on a ceaseless basis. Again, surrounding circumstances, I remain subject to a malicious prosecution that is actually artificially engineered, filed by someone who does not even exist. We have judges and lawyers engaging in criminal conduct. This is the alternative to their inability to paint me, the target individual, as one who is crazy, which is the malicious design of the state-organized system of stalking, harassment, and monitoring. But that is currently what is underway while the state is continuing to engage in the pattern of conduct. That is stalking, surveillance, and monitoring. And as I speak right now, the state is listening to me. Now, with regard to what I just provided an additional sample of today, February 16th, where I have multitudinous forms of documentation of this. This is just what I want to capture right now for this moment, because I want to make another point. That is just one form. The third parties are engaged in concerted activity. The third parties are engaged in the same conduct on behalf of the state. So they remain in relevant position to me in their residences, on foot, on bike, in their vehicles, engaging in all elements remaining present. Light activity, directing light into this car, nonverbal communication in any form. Mostly, though, it's used by the planes also engage in nonverbal communication by the very use of the sound of their plane engines when I engage in movement and activity. That's a means of nonverbal communication at times. It's all about form versus substance, paying attention to that which their action is actually indicative to, what it is pursuant to. And when you see the identical behavioral patterns at play, it's readily identifiable. And that's how you're able to get past what the state of California has sought to conceal for a very long time. And this is why I'm subject to a criminal act on the part of the state. You're talking about someone who identifies himself as Kyle Brody, the judge in the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court, the appointed public defender, Laura Alvarez, who has been not only incompetent by virtue of her absenteeism, but has engaged in open harassment where I was the target inside of that courtroom, where she actually assaulted me, standing up, raising her voice, and approaching me physically. That's an assault, appearing as though she was going to put her hands on my person just because I mentioned her absenteeism, which is a problem which directly affects this farcical case that the state is presenting against me. And again, it's not a coincidence, the fact that I am suing them for state-organized stalking, harassment, and monitoring. And so again, not only is this a means to try to stop that case, basically my confronting the state's criminal conduct, but they are actually engaged in such high crimes. The very fact that I am going through this process in the criminal courts, and this is crimes committed by police, committed by the judges, committed by the lawyers, committed by the law clerks, committed by the security officers when you go through security check, committed by the people that are sitting in the jury panel in the gallery inside of the courtroom. You're talking about, this is a state system, and there are no exclusions, there are no exceptions. And so what I was getting to with regard to the states flying over and surrounding me by sirens, this has coincided with the nonverbal communication, and this is the significance of every single license plate I write down, because they are jointly engaged in that concerted activity. They continue to, again, with simultaneity to my movement, my activity, any change thereof, use this very vehicle that I am inside of as a sounding board. That is not only invasion of privacy, it's not only an element in that system of monitoring, but it's a form of harassment as well. Obviously, they continue to throw items. I mean, the state is flying above, keeping a static presence above me, flying over as they listen to me engage in movement and activity, which is pursuant to the search. And they continue to throw items at this car, third parties as well. Targeting, that's targeting conduct. And so this is what I am describing. This is what I continue to document and observe. And this is identical at every place that I go. Nonverbal communication universally exists. It just exists in a different way based on the factual circumstances at play in that particular venue, but it remains the exact identical element. The state continues to stalk. The sound of the sirens in the background are the ongoing, quintessential example of what is occurring at all times. Law enforcement, they are stalkers. They creep around in back streets and on corners. They engage in nonverbal communications with these third parties who are sitting around like stalkers and creepers in the state of California. And this is why they are stalking me, because I became aware of it in 2018. Initially, the design of the system is to try to, again, dismiss that person, depict that person as crazy. That is not an option where I have over a year-and-a-half amount of evidence. So therefore, they engage in crimes such as creating up a prosecution where I was subject to an assault and battery, unlawful detention, unlawful arrest, theft of my property, retention of my property, because my property contained an insurmountable, irreducible amount of documentary evidence against the state of California, and where, to date, they are continuing to engage in such criminal conduct by proceeding with a fake criminal prosecution, which is designed to be off the record, just try to lock you up and throw away the key and, have you forgotten about in that manner. But this is very relevant to everything that will be brought against the state of California in the United States Supreme Court. It's February 16th. 2020. It is 10 p.m. on the dot, and this is noting the ongoing stalking, surveillance, and monitoring by the state of California as I remain at FERN.